Hello, everyone. It is Misha Green, DC and digital editor, and I am so happy and honored to be back with DC's forever First Lady, as we so affectionately call her, Mrs. Cora Mastersberry, who is the founder of the Recreation Wishlist, the founder of and CEO of the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. She is the lady who makes stuff happen all around the city, but in fact, really ensures that our youth here in the District of Columbia are exposed and have opportunities to the arts and athletics and education. And she's been doing that as an educator, even prior to her many accomplishments that we know and love her for. And of course, prior to her standing and in her service as First Lady of Washington, D.C. But here recently, and she has been fighting a new fight, if you will. Is that fair to say, Mrs. Berry?
Well, actually, no. I'm not fighting a new fight. The fight that's going on, I'm not fighting it. The community is fighting it. What I'm
That's
I'm not fighting anything except just being have an opportunity to tell the truth and to do what I've been doing all my life, which has been my life because God put that on me. You know, God puts something on you. He has a destiny for you. And no matter what direction you go in, he guides you back to your destiny. And I've always, all my life, even when I was little, fought for justice. I've always been in the struggle. It's just who I am. I think a lot of it came from my mom too. But the time that I have spent and everything that I've done, seems like my life and career has led me toward young people, empowering them through being a professor at the University of the District of Columbia. Even when I was chairman of the Boxing Commission, I founded an amateur program that got a lot of the young people off the street. And then when my husband became mayor the fourth time and I became chair of the Recreation Wish List Committee, I took a lot of the money that was there for the inaugural. I was his inaugural head of his inaugural for his fourth historic term and saved it for the recreation department because I felt that the young people, our young people, recreation is a matter of life and death. A lot of times it's just recreation for people with middle class families and lots of resources. And so for the last 20 years, and we're celebrating our 20th year this year at the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center, that we've been fighting to level the playing field. So my fight to level the playing field, not only for our young people, but for all people, has led me into the battle that I've been fighting was within the Arts Commission. The battle that's being fought out now is about equity and about fairness and about inclusion and about opening up the doors to amazing resources that are our taxpayers' money and that we get equal and fair distribution of those resources. So that's been my internal fight. And now that my term is expiring, I am being told, along with Dr. Hopkinson, that our services are no longer needed. And it's punitive because everything that we have done, I'm so proud of. There are many people today who are happy because they, for the first time, got grants from from the Commission on Arts and Humanities. Never got them before. Or if they got them, it was just a little bit and it was discouraging. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the Commission on Arts and Humanities is a granting agency to help people in the arts. And you know, a lot of our people are in the creative. Our people are creative people. They are talented people. We do everything from blow a horn to paint a mural to, you know, do a spoken voice. We're very artistic, very creative people, but we weren't getting a fair share of that pie. And that was the battle that I found quite with no anticipation.
And so, I'm happy that you brought us into this conversation about the lack of equity within the distribution of funds within the Commission of Arts and Humanities. As you said, Mrs. Berry, so eloquently, that's what the Commission of Arts and Humanities does here in Washington, D.C. They make sure that funds are distributed fairly with across all eight wards of the district. And Dr. Hopkinson, excuse me, found last year in working on a map with one of your fellow colleagues from the University of the District of Columbia that there was some very unfair distribution of funds happening. I believe it was 78.3%. Is that correct? Of funds happen to be going into wards 1, 2, 3, and 6, which are predominantly white wards.
Well, let me just add to that. I don't want to interrupt you because I want you to say what you have to say, but I always, the way I can make it even more clear, the budget was around $38 million. 38 million taxpayer dollars. And out of that 38 million taxpayer dollars, when I came on the commission, 800,000 of it went to the whole east of the river. They didn't even give us $1 million. Out of $38 million, $800,000. That's what I found out. That's what greeted me when I walked through those doors of the Commission on Arts and Humanities.
That is ridiculous. I
But
mean,
that's not the hard part. They didn't think it was. They thought it was great. They kept bragging about it.
so what did you do when you got up in there that made sure that funds could fairly be distributed? Because I'm seeing so many awesome things happening in Ward 7 and 8 in particular.
Well, actually, it was all very organic. I had no idea it was that kind of a disproportionate thing going on. And when I got there, I literally found racism that choked me, that seared my soul, as I just put, and an ingrained, entrenched determination to keep the system as it was. And I always describe it as the system of the rich get richer and the poor get ignored. So there was a bill that was passed by Phil Mendelson, a bill called the National the National Cohort. I'm sorry. Let me get this straight. The National Council of Art Cohorts. In other words, these people got 22% of the budget in this legislation with no competition and no accountability. They had just passed it when I got on. The acronym for them is NACOC. That meant that every year the Commission on Arts and Humanities would automatically give these people minimally $400,000. And these are big organizations like the Ford Theater, like Hollywood, that is out there, the Merriwell Post Pavilion,
Oh yeah.
Hollywood. $1 billion endowment. They got $500,000 of the taxpayers' money every year. Ford's Theater, Arena Stage, Washington Ballet, Shakespeare, all of those. What's missing? They had a few, what I call symbolic people in there to mix it up, to give it a little color. Step Africa was in there, and a Hispanic, and a gay organization, and an Asian organization, and all the rest of them were European centered, and they were getting that money. That's the first thing I saw. The second thing I saw was that the access to viewing grants were almost impossible. The first thing a person runs into is a check the box situation. Have you ever been arrested? What does that have to do with being an artist? And then you know who that's going to affect, because you know the history of our people. You know what suppression and oppression has done for us as a people. Of course, we may have been involved in the system. So what's that got to do with me getting this money? So we found out that the access to the grants were almost impossible for the average person to access. And then those who were able to access it got very little money, or they kept getting turned down. And meanwhile, everyone else was getting, and it just was a system that I started fighting. I mean, and then I gave voice to it. And I went to Phil Mendelson after 5 months being on the commission. I went to him and explained to him from my heart that there were inequities, cronyism, and in some cases even corruption on the council, on the commission, and I thought he cared. And I went to him 3 times and tried to tell him. And then one time I even broke down. I felt like I was back in the 40s and the 50s. And long story short, well, it was his bill, so he wasn't really inclined to listen or do anything about it. And so the mayor,
And so the mayor,
hello, the mayor
hello,
changed.
Yeah.
the mayor,
Can you still hear us, Mrs. Berry?
Yeah, I just was hearing an echo of me, but I think it went away. So the
Okay.
mayor made a change in administrations because the present administration that we were under, the woman that was leading the Arts Commission at that time, was very much involved with and tied to a lot of these organizations that were giving the money, and she was running the organization the way she saw fit, and it wasn't something that I could. It was making it hard for a lot of us to breathe. It wasn't just me; it was many people on the commission fighting for equity. And so what we finally did, George Floyd died, God rest his soul, but you know, God uses people down through the years. If you know how God works, if you believe it, he uses people and he does things that changes things in a way that you can spend the greatest minds on the planet Earth and gather around a table in a simple little thing. God will take it and use it to change the world. And after George Floyd was murdered, I just couldn't sleep because the inequities of a knee on your neck is no different than the symbolic knee on our neck economically, educationally, and all the ways that we are constantly being treated in this country. I asked for a task force. I wrote a letter. It's been known as the Woolworths letter because I started the letter about when I was 7 years old and told her I couldn't eat at a Woolworths counter when I was in Texas. And we got it was a long letter. I'll send it to you. And we got
I have to see this. I'd love
anyway,
to
we
see
started a task
it.
force, and Reggie Van Lee, the great Reggie Van Lee, chaired it, and we came up. We ended up acting with at least 1,000 people with questionnaires, focus groups, interviews, and we came up with 44 recommendations to bring equity to the Commission on Arts and Humanities. And it wasn't until Reggie Van Lee took over that those recommendations, that we voted on it in December unanimously, and Reggie took over on July 1. And that's when the changes started. But that whole time, under that former administration, they didn't touch it.
So I guess my question is, now that there's change, now that there's stuff happening, these 44 recommendations, Reggie Van Lee is here. What is the rub? Why is Chairman Mendelson, I should say, now trying to stop such progressive acts from happening?
Well, I call it punitive, and I'm honest. He first of all, he said that I was pushy. Me and Natalie and some other people that he would like to see gone were pushy, that we were aggressive. Yes, I was pushy. Yes, I was aggressive. Yes, I refused to accept anything that I thought was unfair, unjust, or lack integrity. And I refused to back down about what was important. So that's how we got new leadership. That's how we got the recommendations. That's how we got a whole new focus that we have. This is kill the messenger. It is punishing us for what everybody so eloquently calls good trouble. It has no bearing on going forward because we have a whole new commission. We have a whole new leadership. We've had 4 great meetings. No problem. Matter of fact, I fall asleep on the meetings now because I trust what's going on. I don't think anybody's trying to do something to my people or keep something back from my people. So, but he's upset about what took place. And so he wants to punish us for fighting. And he said, there are other kind of Black women we can put here. They don't have to be like them.
That is so disturbing. I want to make sure that folks know some of the language that's being used about you and Dr. Hopkinson. He's calling you all disruptive. Um, This kind of rhetoric that we're hearing and that he's using, to me, sounds like a nice way of saying angry Black women. And so again, I'm happy that you clarified this is not your fight now. People are standing up and fighting for you all and making sure that your story is told and that this injustice is corrected. And so uh, we have the president of the local chapter of the NAACP, Miss Ali, has said, you know what? No, this is not okay. We're supporting Cora Berry and we're supporting Dr. Natalie Hopkinson. We had, I think, I saw 30 signatures. Is that correct? From
Yeah.
women leaders, business owners, DC residents, just esteemed folks here in the district, including Mayor Muriel Bowser, saying we cannot let this happen. We have to stand with these women who have been fighting the good fight and causing good trouble. And so this vote or hearing happens today. What can we do now that we have a couple hours left to ensure that our voices are heard, and that the council knows that you all need to have a fair hearing?
Well, I was a political science professor at the University of the District. I taught for 20 years, and that was wonderful. When I had to leave because of being first lady, it took me 3 tries. I had to cry and miss my kids because I taught them so much. And when I tell them government does nothing without pressure, so I tell there's an inside and outside strategy. And for those of you who are concerned or interested, because it's not a fight for me and Natalie. If I never get on the commission again to forever, that's not what this is about. It is about you don't punish people for fighting for justice. You simply don't do that. And you ensure and protect the rights that you have. So when we are gone, you still can get the money that you deserve or get the grants that you get, that you still have an access to these taxpayers. I'm worried about life after this. I want to make sure that our people, meaning small groups, people of color, Black artists, people on east of the river, all of us get a shot, a fair shot, and level the playing field. So if you feel strongly about that, and you have council members that that are in your ward or at large or whoever, make a call, send a text. Said this democracy is on, what I'd say is democracy is on trial here. Is it appropriate to not allow people to have a hearing? Do you not allow someone to have a voice? Are you muting the voices of people? Do you not? Why don't you want the story told? Are you afraid of what might be in the story? Because the truth pushed down to the ground will rise again. And so that's my question. I really want to know why I can't tell the story. It's the true story. And it has a happy ending. We have 44 recommendations. We have new ways of implementing grants. We have new leadership. It worked. The people won. They got their opportunity to apply for grants. So where's the problem? The problem is several Black women, and it were women, because women lead and women win.
Yes.
We fought. And I plead guilty for fighting for equity. I plead guilty for refusing to accept or participate in anything that didn't seem right, didn't seem fair, and didn't seem equitable.
Mrs. Berry, I know that you don't have your professor's hat on right now. However, in knowing you personally, I can say you're always willing to educate. In the last few minutes we have, can you just break down a little bit of why this is even legal for council, or excuse me, I keep on saying council member. We got to remember, y'all, this is the chair of the council who is doing this. Chairman Mendelson. How is it even legal for him to block this 9-person vote?
It is a mechanism. It's Trumpian. It's a mechanism he uses to punish his enemies. He has the mayor nominates and the council confirms. And the way the process is supposed to go is that the mayor nominates, the council chair schedules a hearing, the nominees come and state the case why they should be on whatever board or commission it is. that nomination is forwarded to the city council and they vote to pass or not pass this person on. Now, to deny somebody a hearing is to deny them access to the appointment. So in his books, he has been able to manipulate and play these games and just let it die on the vine. In other words, if Robert White's initiative today, emergency legislation passes, then we will end up getting a hearing. If it doesn't, then on tomorrow, we will no longer be on the commission. And that is what Phil Mendelson wants. He took two women and put them forward and took the other two troublemakers, the troublemakers. I'm proud of that, y'all.
Yes.
Proud. He said we couldn't go forward. And I just think it's just not the Democratic way, it's the Trumpian way.
Mm. You know, I so admire you and your ability to keep doing the work and to put the information out there, and your consistent uh, emphasis on making sure that equity and justice is a factor for all people in this city and in this nation. I don't know if y'all know, Mrs. Berry has been out there getting arrested in 2021, fighting on the front lines, in major ways, and as we've said this whole time, causing good trouble. I know that we're over our time today, but it's a big week for the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. And you mentioned that we're celebrating 20 years of the good work that you've been doing. Can you just share a little bit about some of the exciting things happening with SETLC, not only this week, but in the upcoming year before we wrap?
Well, okay, this is our 20th anniversary. We opened up in 2001. Venus and Serena, their mother, everybody was there. And for those 20 years, we have served over 30,000 young people. Many of them have gone to college on tennis scholarships, not one cent on tuition or academic scholarships. We have young people who are buyers at Neiman Marcus. We've trained them through our So and No program. It's just been amazing. I look back and it's just like a snap of the finger. And in celebrating that, things came full circle. The movie King Richard came out and with Will Smith, who's up for a nomination for that. Go Will.
Yeah.
And they are showing a pre-screening in Melbourne, Australia, Paris, France, London, England, New York, Miami, Palm Springs, and wait for it, Southeast Washington, D.C. So, and that is a function of the fact that their sister is on our board. Their niece is a new director. And of course, I'm in the family. They've been coming for years. It's going to be shown in the Williams Arena. We're having a hybrid event. The celebration will be following the screening. We'll watch the movie, and then for those sponsors who's got deep pockets, because it is a fundraiser, we can keep up this good stuff going into the next year for our kids. Then there'll be a celebration with Sirius Band, the old Chuck Brown Band,
Yes.
and lots of good food. And it's just, I don't want to get all the surprises because it's going to be like being in a real movie theater, because it's a partnership between us, Warner Brothers Studio, and Wilson Sporting Goods. So it's, for those of you who would make a contribution, the tickets are $1,000 or $1,700 a piece, $1,700 for two, but that entitles you to a movie and all the stuff that you go to when you go to a gala, and you get a tax deduction.
It's so worth it, people. I have been to the galas before, and they've been a great time. But more importantly, I have seen the fruits of the labor with the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. Your money is going to the right place, and these students are absolutely phenomenal and really want the opportunities to continue thriving. These are not just kids who are just there because their mamas made them. No, they are putting in the work. And as Mrs. Berry said, they go on to do amazing and great things. And you all would be a part of investing in their futures in a major way. So it's a great cause. You still have time to buy tickets, correct?
Yeah, I got a few left, not a whole lot, because we're limited in space because of COVID. So, probably got 24 hours, that we'll probably close it down tomorrow, actually. But you can call 202-297-0445, 202-297-0445, or go on the website recreationwishlist.com.
You all heard it. I just threw the phone number in the chat, so you can go ahead and do that. We'll make sure that the website is also in the comment section, so you all can go ahead and click on that. You have 24 hours to get your tickets, but you have all year long to donate. So make sure that you support this amazing cause, amazing program. And as Mrs. Berry said, we're fighting.
You froze.
For her and for justice. Am I back? Am I back? I think I am. I think
You're
I'm back. I think I'm back. Okay, yes. But as I was saying, we are fighting on behalf of Mrs. Berry and Dr. Hopkinson. And I want the people to know that you can get a part of this fight for equity just by making your voices heard, by being active, and making sure, even if they're not on that commission as of tomorrow, that our funds, the funds that are rightfully deserved to us, are continuing to be properly distributed within all 8 wards of the District of Columbia. We thank you so much, Mrs. Berry, for your time. We so appreciate all the work that you are doing and have been doing for decades. And I know that you have no plans of letting up anytime soon.
I mean, hey, if the body will lead me, I'm going right with it. Thank God for my energy. I just have a fight for life. I'm still out there fighting. And I just believe that the struggle continues, and we have to set an example for our young people. You can't sit back and take it. You have to stand up to it. And there are consequences, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you. As you said, the truth pushed down to the ground will rise again. The truth is rising. And we thank you so much for all you do. Thanks to all those who tuned in. We appreciate you. Make sure you share this stream. Sharing is caring, and the important information needs to get out to the village. Be safe, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.